Of Edward Tulane. There once lived a China rabbit named Edward Tulane. The rabbit couldn't move or speak, but he could watch and listen. And he was very pleased with himself and his owner and his home. And then one day, he was lost.
Oh, Edward.
Chapter 1. Once in a house on Egypt Street, there lived a rabbit who was made almost entirely of china. He had china arms and china legs, china paws and a china head, a china torso and a china nose. His arms and legs were jointed by wire so that his china elbows and china knees couldn't be bent, giving him much freedom of movement. His ears were made of real rabbit fur, and beneath the fur there were strong, bendable wires which allowed the ears to be arranged into poses that reflected the rabbit's mood. Jaunty, tired, full of energy. His tail, too, was made of real rabbit fur and was fluffy and soft and well-shaped. The rabbit's name was Edward Tulane, and he was tall. He measured almost 3 feet from the tip of his ears to the tip of his feet. His eyes were painted a beautiful and intelligent blue. In all, Edward Tulane felt himself to be an exceptional specimen. Only his whiskers gave him pause. They were long and elegant as they should be, but they were of uncertain origin.
Oh.
Edward felt quite strongly that they were not the whiskers of a rabbit. Whom the whiskers had belonged to initially, which unsavory animal was a question that Edward could not bear to consider for too long. And so he did not. He preferred, as a rule, not to think unpleasant thoughts.
Think about it.
Edward's mistress was a 10-year-old dark-haired girl named Abilene Tulane, who thought almost as highly as Edward thought of himself. Each morning, after she dressed herself for school, Abilene dressed Edward. The China rabbit was in possession of an extraordinary wardrobe composed of handsome silk suits, custom shoes fashioned from the finest leather and designed specifically for his rabbit feet, and a wide array of hats equipped with holes so that they could easily fit over Edward's large and expressive ears. Each pair of well-cut pants was a small pocket for Edward's gold pocket watch. Abilene wound his watch for him each morning. "Now, Edward," she said to him after she was done winding the watch, "when the big hand is on the 12 and the little hand is on the 3, I will come home to you."
Just like us.
Just
3
like
o'clock.
us, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
She placed Edward on a chair in the dining room and positioned the chair so that Edward was looking out the window and could see the path that led up to the Tulane's front door. Abilene balanced the watch on his left leg. She kissed the tip of his ears, and then she left. And Edward spent the day staring out at Egypt Street, listening to the tick of the watch and waiting. Of all the seasons of all the years, the rabbit most preferred winter, for the sun set early and the dining room windows became dark, and Edward could see his own reflection in the glass. And what a reflection it was! What an elegant figure he cut! Edward never ceased to be amazed at his own fineness. In the evening, Edward sat at the dining room table with the other members of the Tulane family. Abilene, his mother and father, and Abilene's grandmother, who was called Pelgerini. True, Edward's ears barely cleared the tabletop, and true, also, he spent the duration of the meal staring straight ahead at nothing but the bright and blinding white of the tablecloth. But he was there, a rabbit at the table. Ebeline's parents found it charming that Ebeline considered Edward real, and that she sometimes requested that a phrase or story be repeated because Edward had not heard it. "Papa," Ebeline would say, "I'm afraid that Edward didn't catch that last bit. Can you please repeat it?" Ebeline's father would then turn in the direction of Edward's ears and speak slowly, repeating what he had just said for the benefit of the china rabbit. Edward pretended out of courtesy to Ebeline to listen, but in truth, he was not very interested in what the people had to say, and also he did not care for Ebeline's parents and their condescending manner towards him. All adults, in fact, condescended to him. Only Ebeline's grandmother spoke to him as Ebeline did, and one equal to another. Pelladrina was very old. She had a large, sharp nose and bright black eyes that shone with dark stars. It was Pellerija who was responsible for Edward's existence. It was she who had demonstrated his making. She who had ordered his silk suits and his pocket watch, his jaunty hats and his bendable ears, his fine leather shoes and his jointed arms
Oh, grandmas are the best.
and legs, all from a master craftsman in her native France. It was Pelladrina who was given him a gift to Ebeline on her 7th birthday. And it was Pelladrina who came each night to tuck Ebeline in her bed and Edward into his. "Will you tell us a story, Pelladrina?" Ebeline asked her grandmother each night. "Not tonight, lady." "Well, when?" said Ebeline. "What night?" "Soon. Soon there will be a story." And then she turned off the light, and Edward and Ebeline lay in the dark of the bedroom. "I love you, Edward," Ebeline said each night after Grandma had left. And she said those words, and then she waited, almost as if she expected Edward to say something back. Edward said nothing. He said nothing because, of course, he could not speak. He lay in his small bed next to Ebeline's large one. He stared up at the ceiling and listened to the sound of the breath entering and leaving her body, knowing that soon she would be asleep, because as Edward's eyes were painted on and he could not close them, he was always awake. Sometimes if Ebeline put him into his bed on his side instead of on his back, he could see through the cracks of the curtains and out into the dark night. On clear nights, the stars shone, and their pinprick light confronted Edward in a way that he could not quite understand. Often, he stared at the stars all night until the dark finally gave way to the dawn.